I know we're running now a little bit late, but I think Candrika Didi is here from Canada. Let me ask her to unmute. I see her waving. Candrika Didi received Harinam in 2001. I think you live in British Columbia, right? Ashcroft, British Columbia, Didi?
I do. I live right in the middle of British Columbia in a little mountain town.
Beautiful. I know it's called what, Sharanagati Farm, and have farms saved.
I actually live in the town beside Sharanagati now.
Okay.
But
Okay.
Sharanagati is 15 minutes away.
Fantastic, fantastic. Well, we're very honored to have you. I know that you met Srila Gurudeva in India during the Parikram in Kartik in 2001. And you and your family, your daughters received Harinam, which is lovely. So again, Didi, you have 30 minutes as well to offer your Pushpanjali. We thank you so much for blessing us with that. The floor is yours. Haribol.
Thank you too. Hare Krishna. Yeah. Om Jnana Timarandasya. Ginanjana Shalakaya. Chaksuran Milyatang Jena. Tasmai Shri Guru Namaha. Gurudev, please come sit beside me right now. Please help me to tell this wonderful story about you. Hare Krishna to all the devotees. So I'm Candrika, hi, and I live in British Columbia. And 20 years ago, I was the queen of the hippies. I lived in Vancouver on a street called Commercial Drive, and the hippie movement was very strong there. And I was going around to every drum circle and trying to meet every person I could. And I was searching for something. And I really wanted that something that was in my heart. And the hippies, you know, they seemed conducive that I could find something like this here. But I lived there for about 6 months and I kept searching and running around and I couldn't find what that thing was. And one day, this man came up to me. And he was king of the hippies. He had a school bus and, you know, all these special things. And he said, you know what? Let's go to a rainbow gathering. And he told me all about the rainbow family and all about the rainbow gathering. And I thought, wow, this is it. This is what I've been looking for. I've been looking for my family and something to do every day that actually means something. And so we planned to go to this rainbow gathering. And it was in the interior of BC. And it happened to be right beside Sharanagati Dham. And I didn't know anything about that. But the guy had told me, he said, you know, there's this Hare Krishna farm up there. And if you go there, if you ever want to go there, you can, you know, stay there and do some work for them and they'll allow you to stay there and you'll have a wonderful time. So I was like, wow, this is so cool. And so we started our journey to get to this rainbow gathering. And this gentleman that I was traveling with, I guess he had some, you know, some knots in the heart, some big anartas. And he wanted, you know, to be in love with me. And I said, I'm sorry, but I don't want to be in love with you. I just want to be your friend. And he got really upset with me. And so when we got to the rainbow gathering, just as we were driving up the hill, I said, you know, I think I'm just going to go to that Hare Krishna farm for a few days. And I'll meet you at the festival. And so I arrived there and right away, this beautiful boy jumped on the school bus. He had beautiful tattoos. Maybe some of you know him, Mukunda Madhavadas. And he got right up in my face and he said, welcome home, sister. He said, this is your home. You've been waiting for this for a long time and welcome home. And he said, here's your cabin. Here's the temple. And then the most beautiful things ensued. Singing kirtan 4 hours per day, then going and taking care of the cows, then singing kirtan for 2 more hours per day, listening to beautiful classes, eating 7-course meals. And I was a single mother. And I had every inch of support that I could ever have, having 10, you know, other people around me to help share that load. And I realized this is it. I'm home. And I never did make it to that rainbow gathering. And I ended up living in Sharanagati for 10 years. But we're getting to my story about Gurudeva, because this is what I really want to tell you guys, a very special thing. So there was a lot of talk about initiation. And so one day somebody contacted Gurudev, and Gurudev agreed to get on the telephone with us, which we had to drive to the very top of the mountain to get reception, and give us our Harinam over the phone. So we did that. And we talked to Gurudev, who in the beginning, I thought his name was Dave. I remember trying not to laugh in the temple. I was like expecting him to have this big supernatural name. And I'm like, it's a guru and his name's Dave. But then I learned a lot more. And so we went up there and I took Harinam. And then I went and bawled my eyes out. I was like, oh my God, so good. And that's when I started thinking about going to India to meet Gurudev, because Gurudev said, he said, I want you all to come to India and I want you to take Harinam from me in person. So I started thinking about going to India, and, I was like, geez, I wonder how I'm going to achieve this. I don't have any money. I'm living on this farm. I love it. So one day I was milking the cow, and Didi Maharaj, who Gurudev said, Didi Maharaj is your guru, when he initiated me. So I really, respected, and he walked into the barn and I said, Dudidar, I said, I want to go to India. What should I do? Should I go back to Vancouver and get a job for a couple months and save up? And then he said, no. He said, absolutely do not go back to Vancouver. You have to stay here, because if you go to Vancouver, you're going to get distracted by this good looking boy, this beautiful suit. And he said, but if you stay here and you paint the Rath Yatra cart that I'm building for Gurudev, like I asked you to, then Krishna will make some arrangement. And I remember laughing at the time, thinking, okay. And so I continued to paint this Rath Yatra cart. And I painted the whole thing. It took weeks. And all the devotees would come talk to me while I was doing it. It was so beautiful. And then one day I was milking the cow again, and Dudidar showed up in the barn. Candrika, do you still want to go to India? I said, yes, I do. And he said, oh, that is good. Venugopal just bought you and your daughter tickets and paid your festival fees. Oh my God. I was like, really? Oh my God, Krishna really did make some arrangement. And it was wonderful. Venugopal was this young boy, this young hippie boy who came to the farm, and he spent about 3 weeks locked down with Dudidar, sitting in the grass talking about Krishna. And then he came into a bit of an inheritance, and he decided to share. And he bought about 5 of us tickets to go. And so, when I was looking for spiritual life, I was always looking for something supernatural to happen, being a hippie. And that in itself was supernatural. So I went to India, and I brought my 7-year-old daughter, Kirti, who was Catherine then, with me. And I'd been really sheltered. Sharanagati means shelter. And I'd been really sheltered, and, I'd only known these devotees that were at Sharanagati. And it was just, wow, it was incredible seeing that there were so many other devotees, and I was so overwhelmed, and I was constantly lost in this sea of devotees. And I could see Gurudev from far. I'd reach my head up and I'd look and say, who is this Gurudev? And, I was sick for like the whole 5 weeks, but it was like, you're too enamored and too, it was so beautiful that you didn't even care that you were sick. You just sort of hobbled slower. And so one day I decided, that's it. I'm going to go meet this Gurudev, because I want to take Harinam from him, and I want to, meet him. But also, no, never mind that part. So I went at like 4 a.m, and I stationed myself outside of Gurudev's door. And I was the only one there, me and my daughter. And we waited and we waited. And then 6 o'clock came, and, there were 1,000 devotees there all of a sudden. And I was like, oh my God. But I was the one sitting right outside the door. And so Gurudev was late, and I was just like, waiting. He wasn't late. He was in his chambers and he was doing beautiful things. He wasn't late, but he was, he was coming out later than he was supposed to. And so I was waiting and waiting, and I was building this anticipation. And, there was still a part in my heart that just went, is this all real? And like, is he really in the spiritual world and he knows me and, knows my heart? And then Gurudev came out and he walked right by me. And he went into this sea of devotees. And I watched him getting farther and farther away. And something inside me broke. My anartas came right to the surface. I was like, this is a bunch of bull crap. Please forgive that offense, but that's how I felt. And I was so disappointed. I was like, he doesn't love me. He doesn't know me. He didn't even look at me. He looked at me, looked away, right away. And I was getting on the next plane. That was how destitute I was. My heart was broken. And I was looking at Gurudev, and he was probably 75 feet away from me. And I could see the back of him, and he was touching everyone, and I was getting more and more jealous. I'm like, and I wasn't humble enough to go, I don't have enough Sukriti. I was like, no, he's mine and I'm his. And if he's really mine, then he's mine. And do you know what he did? He stopped and he turned around just like this. And he looked right at me from 75 feet away. And he began to beat his way back through the crowd like this, with his little cute little arms, the way he used to do that, with that determined walk. And he beat his way through thousands of people, pushing them out of the way like he was a football player. And he came right up to me and he put his face right in my face. He said, what do you want? I said, and I was still very angry. I was upset. I said, I want to know. Oh, he goes, do you want to take Harinam? And I said, no. I want to know if you love me. I want to know if you know me. And he just got this really, really soft look on his face, and he touched me, put his hand on my arm, and he said, of course I know you. You are my beautiful daughter. I have never not known you. And he said, I love you. And I'm your Gurudev. Come take Harinam from me. And I said, yes, Gurudev, I'll be there. That is all. Vancha kalpatrupiyascha, kripa sindhu bhavacha, patitanam pavanebhyo, vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.
Wow, Didi, that story was incredibly touching, actually, very moving and very true to what I understand of so many devotees' experience with Gurudev. That he really is there, and for each person knows exactly how to touch them. And it's also I think it was also very sweet the way you were saying you were this hippie, because I know that was how Srila Prabhupada started the whole movement in the West, turning hippies into happies, as the saying goes. But you still actually have a few more minutes if you want to share anything else. I don't know if you do if you feel complete, that's okay too. But it was really lovely hearing your Pushpanjali. And I don't know if Yashodananda or anyone else has any questions for you, but I thought that was just so touching, so moving. And I appreciate hearing.
Yes. Nope. That's all I have to say for today.
Wow, it was beautiful, Candrika Didi. Thank you so much for sharing. Really, really wonderful story, and appreciate you so much. Wow. And